Okay, fine. So, good morning. Uh, yes, we were doing the refrigeration chapter, and we looked at all the theoretical part of it. Maybe we looked into the air refrigeration, and then we looked into the vapor compression refrigeration system, then vapor absorption refrigeration system. Let's try to solve some numericals on this refrigeration. So I have prepared a tutorial sheet and uploaded in the Google Classroom. So let's try to take some of the numericals and try to solve. I have taken a very simple first problem, which is based on some Carnot cycle. It's something like this. A cold storage is to be maintained at minus 5 degrees Celsius. That is minus 2, that is 273 minus 5 is 268 Kelvin, while the surroundings are at 35 degrees Celsius. So your atmospheric temperature is 35 degrees Celsius, but evaporator temperature should be at minus 5 degrees Celsius. The heat leakage from the surroundings into the cold storage is estimated to be 29 kilowatts. Okay, they are telling that this is something, there's a leakage is there. That is the amount of heat that is absorbed is around 29 kilowatts. The actual COP of the refrigeration is one third of the ideal. So ideal COP is always based on Carnot cycle, which can be obtained from your temperatures, Find the power required to drive the plant. This is a simple problem. Let's try to put the TS diagram and let's try to solve this solution. So what is they are given? So they have given the temperatures. That is, if I call this as maybe lower temperature, we call it as T1. It is minus 5 degrees or 268 Kelvin. So the higher temperature, it is 35 degrees plus 273. Okay, it is 308 degree Kelvin. This is what they are given. Now, if I try to put a TS diagram, okay, let's try to put a TS diagram, which is just sufficient for us to understand your Carnot cycle. This is your temperature, entropy. We all know that it is like a box because I do have two constant temperature processes and two isentropic processes in case of a Carnot cycle. Here it is a reversed Carnot cycle. So it has to be something like this. So this is my evaporation and this is my compression. See, this from 1 to evaporation, 2 to 3 is my compression. Then have the condensation where we are going to reject the heat, and I'm going to have the expansion from 4 to 1. Okay, so here this is compression, heat absorption, heat rejection, and this is expansion, and this is happening at the constant temperature T2. This is happening at constant temperature T1. It's a simple representation of your reversed Carnot engine, which is also called as a Carnot refrigerator. Okay. COP of this Carnot. Okay. COP of your Carnot. See, we all know that it has to be based on your temperatures. See, COP or the efficiency of a refrigerator, efficiency of any Carnot engine is based on temperatures. That is, we go with the temperatures. Similarly, here, COP of Carnot, we go with the temperatures itself. Lower temperature divided by higher temperature minus lower temperature. Okay, COP of a Carnot is given by this formula. What is T1? T1 is equal to 268 divided by 308 minus 268. I am getting my COP of Carnot as 6.8. This is COP ideal or Carnot. Okay. There is something called as relative COP. This relative COP, which is actually is a ratio of actual COP of any engine or any refrigeration cycle divided by COP of the ideal or your Carnot. So they are telling that for this problem, they are telling that it is 1/3 of the ideal power plant. That is, this number they are telling that this is 1/3 of it. So what will be your COP actual? Therefore, your COP actual is equal to 1/3 into COP ideal, that is 1/3 into 6.8. So I'm getting around 2.26 is COP, that is a 2.26. Now, what is the COP? Okay, COP actual, COP actual, COP actual is equal to heat absorbed divided by your work input. Work input. Now, what is this heat absorbed? See, this is also called as, I have told that this is your refrigerating effect. This is also called as refrigerating effect. So, in this problem, they are given heat absorbed as 29 kilowatts. The cold storage, I am trying to absorb 29 kilowatts. Then what is your COP of actual? So this is 2.26 is equal to 29 kilowatts divided by your work done. So therefore, your W is equal to 29 divided by 2.26. So your work done is equal to, roughly I am getting around 12.9 change kilowatts. Okay, so this is a simple problem I have taken, where I am trying to go with respect to your Carnot cycle. This is a very ideal, a simple cycle where you have two constant temperature processes and two isentropic processes, and I can solve this kind of a problem. I can solve the actual COP, then I can find the work done. The only look at the very simple thing. Only thing is I'm trying to take the COP Carnot, then the COP relative, which is 1/3 given, then COP actual is equal to heat absorbed by work done, and I am able to get it. Is that clear? Any doubts? Okay. Why I took this particular problem is, I have seen some of the problems for this thing. So they try to based on idealistic things, ideal refrigeration cycle. So one ideal refrigeration thing is actually your Carnot refrigeration. So that's why I took this problem. Anyway, we don't have any theory to be discussed in the class. But maybe if I try to solve one problem, this kind of a problem with all the ingredients in it, so that will give a good flavor for you to understand the Carnot refrigeration. Okay, clear? So let's move to the next problem. This is a problem based on your what is called as a reversed Breton cycle, which is also called as Bell-Coleman cycle. So don't get confused with what is this Bell-Coleman cycle and all. This is the name given for a reversed Breton cycle. This particular thing, which is also the reverse Breton cycle. That is a constant pressure one. The problem statement is something like this. A refrigeration machine of 6 tons capacity working on Bell-Coleman cycle has an upper limit pressure of 5.2 bar, and the pressure and temperature at the start of the compression are 1 bar and 18 degrees Celsius respectively. The cooled compressed air enters the expander at 41 degrees Celsius. Assuming both expansion and compression to be adiabatic with an index of 1.4, calculate first one, the coefficient of performance, it's also called as COP. The second one, the quantity of the air circulated per minute, that is mass flow rate of the air in kg per minute. The third one, piston displacement of both compressor as well as the expander. we'll try to see that what are the volumes. That is, we have to find the piston displacement means it's the volumes. Okay, whether it is V1 or V2 or V3 and all, we'll see that. Once we draw the TS diagram and PV diagram, you will come to know. Then the fourth one, the bore, that's also diameters. Okay, bore or diameters of the compression and expansion cylinder. When the speed with which the compressor runs is, so the machine runs it at 240 rpm, and it's a double acting type with a stroke length of 200 mm. That's the thing they given. The last one is the power required to run the unit or to drive the unit. So these are the 5 different parameters they are asking us to find from the Bell-Coleman cycle or reversed Breton cycle. Okay. Let's try to write the data, then we'll try to put the PV and TS diagram, then we'll try to solve one by one. Solution, data given. Okay. Let's try to put the PV and TS diagram. Okay. This is your PV diagram, then TS diagram. So this is a constant pressure machine. So I have to go with constant pressure 1. Okay. This is from 1 to 2. Then isentropic compression. Okay. Isentropic compression will be something like this. This is from 2 to 3. Then constant pressure heat rejection from 3 to 4. Then isentropic or expansion. This is from 4 to 1. Okay, this is your theoretic, this thing, what we see. So here what's happening? Heat absorption takes place. So here heat rejection. So same thing here, compression. Here it is expansion. And what is the working fluid? The working fluid is the air. Okay. Now let us try to put the your what we call it as maybe your TS diagram. If you put the TS diagram, I will try to understand what exactly is there. So you have the compression, expansion, all those things. Okay, I'd have 1 to 2. Okay, 1 to 2 is the constant pressure, this particular thing. So I can go from 1 to 2 here. So then 2 to 3. It's an isentropic compression. So then constant pressure. So then it's 4 to 1. This is your expansion. So this is what I have. If it is maybe actual one, I can do that. It's not an issue. So what I'm trying to draw is a theoretical one. Okay, 1 to 2 or 1 to 2 dash, whatever it may be. Then we'll try to draw the actual one. So in that case, what isentropic, this will become 4 dash. Okay, 1 dash, or this will become 3 dash or something. We'll try to see that. Now let us try to write the data what is given. Highest possible pressure, that is P2. So highest possible pressure is equal to your P3 is equal to P4. Your P3 is equal to P4 is equal to 5.2 bar. Let's try to look at this. This is 5.2 bar. So then the highest possible temperature, that is T3. T3 is equal to 41 degrees Celsius. The compressor cooled air, the cooled compressed air enters the expander at 41 degrees Celsius. That is your highest possible temperature. Okay, that's sorry, T4. So this is your T4, not T3. This is your T4. T4. Okay, then your lowest possible pressure. So that is your P1. So lowest possible pressure is your P1. is equal to 1 bar. Then T1 is equal to 18 degrees Celsius. Okay, and the given index of expansion is 1.4. So what you are supposed to find? To find, first one is COP, the second one is mass flow in kg per minute, then the third one. Okay, see, look at this. What I am supposed to find? I am supposed to find a piston displacement of the compressor and expander. Okay, so what it is actually, I need to find what is the volume at this particular point. Okay, V2. Okay, I need to find the corresponding volume. So we have to find the volume at V2 and I have to find the volume at V1. Okay, volume at V2. So volume at this particular point, V2 will give the, what is the volume? That is the complete, see, volume, piston displaces the compressor. So to what volume? See, the piston has to be compressed. There is that the volume. Then your corresponding expander or whatever it may be, the expansion valve or whatever it may be, what is the volume? So piston displacement of the compressor and the expander. Okay, so that is your V2 and V1. V1 and V2. Then, so what else I need to find? I need to find their diameters. So expander and diameter of the compression. Then the last one is the power requirement, that is E. These are the things which you have to do it. Now, let's try to consider the process. Okay, consider the process 2 to 3 and 1 to 4, which are reversible adiabatic. Consider the process 2 to 3 and 4 to 1, which are reversible adiabatic, which is isentropic, in nature. So in that case, what I can do? So T3 by T2. T3 by T2 is equal to P3 by P2. Okay, P2 is also equal to P1. Okay, is equal to P1. Both are same. Okay, P3 by P2 whole to the power of gamma minus 1 by gamma. So from here, T3 is equal to, okay, T3 is equal to, what is T2? So they are given which temperature? 18 degrees. Pressure and temperature at the start of the compression are 1 bar and 18 degrees. So this is T2. Sorry, this is not T1. It's T2, which is also equal to P2 and P1. P2 and P1. So T3 is equal to T2 into P3 by P2 whole to the power of gamma minus 1 by gamma. So your T2 is equal to 18 plus 273. You have to substitute everything in Kelvin. Okay, so that is 291 into your P3 is actually 5.2 bar divided by 1 to the power of 1.4 minus 1.4 divided by this thing. So T3 I am getting around 466 Kelvin. Just cross check this. Are you getting the same value? Okay, 466 point some decimals and all, leave the decimals but round off it actually. Now similarly for the process 4 to 1, okay, for the process 4 to 1 I can write T4 by T1. Okay, I can write for the process T4 by T1. T4 by T1 is equal to, still I can write it is P3 by P2 whole to the power of gamma minus 1 by gamma. Okay, gamma minus 1 by gamma. What is your the temperature. So they are given T4. T4 is 4. So I need to find T1. Okay, I need to find T1. So T4 they given it as 41 degrees Celsius. That is, what is it actually? The cooled compressed air enters the expander. That is this particular point. Okay, that particular point is 41 degrees Celsius. So that is 41 plus 273. It is 314 degree Kelvin. Or I can write T1 is equal to T4 divided by P3 by, see, P4 by P3. If P4 is equal to P3 and P2 is equal to P1, I can write the same thing. Okay, P3 by P2 only to the power of gamma minus 1 by gamma, or this is 314 divided by 5.2 divided by 1 whole to the power of 1.4 minus 1 divided by 1.4 is equal to, so I am getting around 196 Kelvin. So T1 is equal to 196 point some change, 196 Kelvin. So these are the temperatures what I got. These are the temperatures what I got. Now, if you closely observe what's happening, see, I need all the temperatures. T1, T2, T3, T4, all the temperatures I know. Now with this, what type of process it is actually? It is 1 to 2 is constant pressure. 3 to 4 is constant pressure. I can write in terms of Cp into delta T. So that is mainly because of enthalpy change. So net work done. So therefore, net work done is equal to compressor work minus expansion work. Okay, that is actually, what is your compressor work actually? It is, if you go back and see, it is H3 minus H2. What is your expander work? It is actually, it is H4 minus H1. Okay, I can write this as H3 minus H2 minus of H4 minus H1, or we know that H is a function of temperature. I can write this as Cp into T3 minus T2 minus T4 minus T1. Now I know all the values. Okay, I know all the values. What is the value of Cp? Cp I can take it as 1.005 into 10 to the power of 3. Okay, so that I'll get in terms of directly kilojoules. So T3 is 466 minus your T2 is 291 minus your T4 is 314 minus 196. So if I substitute, I'm getting my net work done as 57 kilojoules per kg, because mass flow rate is 1 kg, so that's why I'm taking. Now, if you go back and see here, a refrigeration machine of 6 tons capacity. What is 1 ton of refrigeration? Maybe when I was defining at the beginning, I told that 1 ton of refrigeration is equal to 3.5 kilowatts. So 6 ton of refrigeration means 6 into 3.5, which is 21 kilowatts. Okay, it is the capacity, that is the plant capacity. Okay, let me look at the plant capacity. The refrigeration, or what we call it as the plant capacity. The plant capacity, it's also called as refrigeration capacity. Refrigeration capacity. Okay, that is equal to 6 ton of refrigeration multiplied by 1 ton is equal to 3.5 kilowatts. So it is roughly 21 kilowatts. Okay, this is 21 kilowatts of refrigeration. Now, that is the capacity. What is the refrigeration effect? The refrigeration effect is equal to H2 minus H1 or Cp into T2 minus T1. Cp into T2 minus T1, that is the capacity, refrigeration effect. Now what will be COP? COP will be equal to your refrigeration effect divided by work done. And what is the mass flow rate required actually? That is refrigeration capacity divided by refrigeration effect. Okay, let me go and do that. Okay, first thing, refrigeration effect or heat absorbed. Heat absorbed, heat absorbed or refrigeration effect. Don't get confused this with refrigeration capacity. Refrigeration capacity is the plant capacity. Refrigeration effect is what you are trying to remove the heat while running the thermodynamic cycle. Okay, this is equal to, that is heat absorbed is equal to H2 minus H1 or Cp into T2 minus T1. So how much is Cp? 1.005 for the air, kilojoules for this thing. So T2 is 291 minus 196. So heat absorbed, or it is also the refrigeration effect. Okay, RE or refrigeration effect. I am getting around 95.47 kilojoules per kg. First thing, let's try to write coefficient of performance. What is this actually? This is equal to heat absorbed or refrigeration effect divided by work done. This is 95.47 divided by 57. I am getting around 1.67 without any unit. This is the COP of your refrigeration cycle, air refrigeration cycle. Now, next thing is I need to find the mass flow rate. Okay, to find the mass flow rate, this is the formula. What is it actually? The refrigeration capacity, refrigeration capacity, which is RC, is equal to mass flow rate, okay, in kg per second, multiplied by heat absorbed or refrigeration effect. This is multiplied by refrigeration effect, which is RE. Now what will be your mass flow rate? Therefore, your mass flow rate of refrigerant is equal to, this is your refrigeration capacity divided by refrigeration effect. So this is 21 kilowatts divided by 95.47 kilojoules per kg. I am getting roughly around 0.22 kg per second. Or if you want it in meters kg per minute, multiplied by 60. So it is equal to 0.22 into 60. I am getting around 13.2 kg per. So what they've asked in the problem statement, we are trying to do it here. Now, we need to find the corresponding expansion volumes, What it is actually, that volumes are V1 and your V2. So if I see, now we got the mass flow rate. Now let's try to find it actually. To find the corresponding volumes, what we need to do? So we have this equation. P1, V1 is equal to MRP1, or I can write V1 is equal to MRT1 by P1. Okay, MRT is there. So what is your mass flow rate? I can put, see, if I want it in kg meter cube per second, I have to put 0.22. 0.22 into 0.287, that is 287 into 10 to the power of 3 into 10 to the power of 3 into your T1. So what is the temperature of your T1? So T1 it's found to be 196 Kelvin divided by 1 into 10 to the power of 5. So this will be my V1. Okay, so 196 divided by 110 to the power of 5. So I'm getting around 0.18. Okay, 0.287 10 to the power of 3 into 6 divided by 110 to the power of 5. 0.123, sorry. 0.124. 0.124 meter cube per second. I'm looking at the volume at this particular point. So similarly, P2, V2, MRT2 will give the volume at this particular point. Okay, so to find that is for the compression. So similarly, I can put P2, V2 is equal to MRT2, or I can write P2 is equal to MRT2 by P2. Okay, this is 0.22 into 0.287 into 10 to the power of 3 into the temperature T2. So T2 is how much? T2 is found to be 291 divided by, okay, the pressure is P2. So P2 is 1 bar, okay, 180 10 to the power of 5. So I'll be getting my V2. Point 184. Okay, 0.184 is the volume there actually. 0.18124 here, 0.1837, that is 184 meter cube per second. Now, see, this is the volume they are given. I need to find the diameters. Okay, this is the volumes, corresponding volumes what I have. How to go ahead and find the corresponding diameters? And one more thing, they are telling that it is a double acting machine. It's a double acting machine. To do that, so how to find it actually? Let's go and see here. This particular formula is very, very important. For a double acting machine, first let me write the formula, then use it. For a double acting is a compressor. For a double acting machine, the volume V is given by, okay, area into, so LAN by 60. So let me go by that formula. The stroke length into area into N by 60. Okay, this is the thing what it is. Now here this N, okay, this N actually, this is based on what we are trying to do. Okay, this volume, it is based on W, so it is 2 times. So multiplied by I, where it is double acting. So it has to be 2 times. Okay, so this is the formula which we want to. So now for V1, what we will do? So V1 is equal to L is same, so stroke length into pi into, at 1 actually it is the expander. Okay, so pi into dE square by 4 into N by 60 into 2. Then, so now let's me substitute. L is 0.2 meters into pi into, I don't know, I need to find dE. I will as it is. So V1, just now we found it to be 0.124 into N is 240 RPM divided by 60 into 2. So I'll be getting my expander dE is equal to 0.36, okay, or 360 mm, 36 meters. This is my V1. How much am I getting? So just you have to cross check. 0.124 into 4 into 60, okay, divided by 2 divided by 5 divided by 240, square root of it. Yes, sorry, 0.14. Huh? Just cross check this. How much are you getting? Into 4 into 4 into 60. Oh, 0.2 I missed out. Divided by 0.2 into 5 into 240 to 2. Square root of answer. Okay, fine. It's 0.31. Okay, it is. I'm getting around 0.314. Is 0.314 meters or 314 mm. So similarly for V2 it is L into pi into dc square divided by 4 into n by 60 into I, that is double acting, it is 2. So this is 0.184 is equal to L is 0.2 into pi into, this is for the compressor diameter, 4 into 240 divided by 60 into 2. So I need to find my TC, that is the diameter of the compressor, or we call it as the bore. 0.184 into 4 into 60 divided by 0.2 into pi into 240 into 2, okay, square root of this particular. I am getting 0.383. 0.383 meters or 383 mm. Okay. Maybe I left with few more things actually. So third one. So we have to do the power. Okay, already we got the work done. Huh? Yeah, we got the work done. Multiply by mass flow rate. So the power is equal to fifth one. The power P is equal to mass flow rate into work done. So mass flow rate is 0.22, no? Yeah, 0.22. 0.22 into 57. 0.22 into 57. I am getting around 12.54 kilowatts. 12.54 kilowatts. So everything we have found. Everything we have found. The same problem, I think I missed out one particular thing. If suppose they ask stroke volume. If they ask stroke volume, what we are supposed to do? V2 minus V1, that's it. So the extra thing. Okay, I'll write it in the red color so that if they ask in the problem statement, in this problem stage they're not asked actually. So this is an extra thing. The sixth one, if they ask the stroke volume, that is Vs, which is equal to V2 minus V1, which is 0.184 minus 0.124. Okay. So if you do that, it is 0.06. 0.06 meter cube per second. This is your stroke volume. Then extra thing I am trying to do. So stroke volume is the difference of your volume at the compressor, at the entry of the compressor